5, a judge has denied bail for Sean Diddy Combs. Of course, this was the hip-hop mogul's latest bid for freedom as he remains in federal jail for his racketeering and sex trafficking case.
Is it really a conspiracy if the same person keeps benefiting off the same kind of tragedy over and over?
It's hard to imagine someone like Sean Diddy Combs, once a symbol of opulence and power, now reduced to battling rumors about his health and enduring conditions that, by all accounts, are worlds away from the luxury lifestyle he once flaunted. But here we are. The whispers coming out of Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center have taken an unsettling turn, with some claiming that Diddy's recent dramatic weight loss and visibly grayer appearance are the least of his problems. The real bombshell? Allegations that he might have contracted a serious illness while locked up. And let's just say the details are enough to leave anyone speechless.
So maybe some solution where his money could help us craft, he could build his separate jail cell, and we could keep him there. Just interesting to me that they sort of said, nope, you're going to be treated not like everybody else, but a lot like everybody else. Having money doesn't do it. So I wouldn't want to be those judges. There's sort of a no-win situation.
The story begins with Diddy's shocking transformation. Just a few months ago, he was strutting through New York City, enjoying the final days of his freedom before his arrest in September. Fast forward to today, and the man who once epitomized excess and confidence now looks frail, worn, and, as some have said, almost unrecognizable. Journalists who attended his recent court hearings have described his appearance as astonishing, thinner than anyone expected, with hair that seemed to have turned noticeably grayer during his time behind bars. But what's behind this dramatic change? Is it stress, poor prison conditions, or something far more sinister? The rumors suggest the latter.
It's just incredible. And, it brings into context our whole system of innocent till proven guilty. Why is he not being given bond? And, we could debate that all day long. Of all people that's unlikely to flee or get away, well, he's got the resources to flee, but he's so recognizable. And isn't he innocent till proven guilty? Well, yeah, but, we have to recognize there are degrees of innocent till proven guilty.
Word from inside the Metropolitan Detention Center is that Diddy has been struggling with much more than just the psychological toll of incarceration. According to insiders, his health has reportedly taken a significant hit, and some are pointing to a life-threatening illness as the culprit. Now, the specifics are murky. This is a story built on whispers, speculation, and unconfirmed claims. But one thing is clear, whatever is happening to Diddy behind those prison walls, it's serious enough to spark wide-ranging worries. Let's break it down. First, the weight loss. Sure, anyone transitioning from a life of private chefs and high-end restaurants to the dreary offerings of a federal detention center would naturally shed a few pounds. But what's happening to Diddy goes far beyond that. Observers have noted that he's not just thinner, he looks gaunt, as if something deeper is at play. Add to that his refusal to eat standard prison meals, reportedly due to fears of being poisoned, and the picture becomes even more complicated. According to Larry Levine, a former inmate turned prison consultant who spoke on a podcast, Diddy's paranoia isn't entirely unfounded. Levine explained how easy it would be for someone with connections to slip something harmful into his food over time. Whether it's paranoia or a legitimate concern, Diddy's decision to rely on commissary snacks like chips and honey buns is hardly a recipe for good health.
It's a legitimate concern. No judge wants to wake up and read the headlines the next day, oh, they treated this guy special and they gave him bond, and now he's gone and he fled from justice. So that's what's in the back of most judges' minds. On the other hand, we deal with cases where clients have significant funds sometimes. And sometimes where there's money, you can craft a unique solution. Years ago, it was the ankle bracelet and the ankle monitor.
Then there's the even darker side of these rumors, the suggestion that Diddy may have contracted an illness while in custody, and not just any illness. There's speculation that he might be dealing with something as serious as HIV. This particular theory has been fueled by a combination of factors, including his sudden physical decline, his alleged interactions with other inmates, and the harsh, unsanitary conditions of the detention center. It's worth noting that the Metropolitan Detention Center has a notorious reputation for being a breeding ground for sickness, with inadequate medical care and rampant issues like overcrowding and poor sanitation. It wouldn't be the first time an inmate's health deteriorated drastically in such an environment.
It's just interesting to me that with all the money he has and all the resources he has, they couldn't craft some solution that lets him be under some form of house arrest. And again, it sounds like special treatment, but the truth of the matter is, to incarcerate somebody like him is expensive to all of us. We're taxpayers, and he's got to have unique situations. You can't put him in general population where, everyone wants a piece of him and everyone wants to be his friend and everyone.
But the rumors don't stop there. There's also talk about Diddy's relationships with other inmates. Reports claim that his celebrity status has drawn a lot of attention, both good and bad, inside the prison. Some sources suggest that he's formed a small circle of admirers who look out for him, even going so far as to make his bed and ensure he's comfortable. But others paint a far more troubling picture, hinting at exploitative dynamics and even suggesting that Diddy's high-profile name hasn't shielded him from the darker realities of prison life. This, combined with the lack of privacy and access to proper protection, has only fueled speculation about how he might have contracted an illness. Of course, there's another layer to the story that makes it even more intriguing. The role of the FBI. Insiders claim that federal authorities are well aware of Diddy's deteriorating condition and may even be using it to their advantage. The theory goes like this: by keeping him in harsh conditions, the FBI is trying to pressure him into cooperating. After all, Diddy's case isn't just about him. There are whispers about a larger network of individuals involved in the allegations against him, and authorities are said to be eager to get him talking. If these claims are true, it raises serious questions about the ethics of such tactics, especially if they involve leveraging someone's health as a bargaining chip.
Well, Sierra, anything's possible, right? But now this judge has an even harder time, I think, because the past judge locked him up, didn't let him out, and he's still there available for trial. If the new judge lets him out on bond and something goes wrong, and this isn't the analysis that I'm proud to make, right? We shouldn't be saying, well, judges are worried about their own skin and how they look if something bad happens.
Adding to the intrigue are the whispers coming from former inmates and prison insiders. Larry Levine, for instance, has been vocal about the dangers Diddy faces in custody. In one interview, he mentioned how high-profile inmates like Diddy often become targets, not just for violence, but for more subtle forms of harm, like poisoning. Levine even went so far as to compare Diddy's situation to that of Jeffrey Epstein, suggesting that there are plenty of people who would want to see him silenced. While Levine stopped short of making any definitive claims, his comments have only added fuel to the fire.
Diddy's mom has finally spoken out amidst everything that is happening right now. Janice Small Combs provided a statement to some outlets via her attorney. So she starts off by saying it's very heartbreaking to see her son judged not for the truth, but for a narrative created out of lies.
And then there's Jaguar Wright, the outspoken musician who has been relentlessly vocal about Diddy's alleged dark side. In a recent interview, Wright claimed that Diddy has been dealing with serious health issues for years, even alleging that he might have contracted HIV long before his arrest. Wright didn't hold back, saying she could name multiple individuals who are supposedly in the same situation as Diddy, though she stopped short of providing any concrete evidence. Whether you believe her or not, her comments have only amplified the rumors surrounding Diddy's health.
Now, in more Diddy news, Diddy will be sued. And I say will be because nothing has been filed yet, by at least 120 people in the next 30 days. So
where does this leave us? On the one hand, we have a man who's clearly struggling, physically, mentally, and emotionally, under the weight of his legal battles and the harsh realities of prison life. On the other hand, we have a swirling storm of rumors, accusations, and unverified claims that make it nearly impossible to separate fact from fiction. What's undeniable, though, is that Diddy's current situation is a far cry from the life he once lived, and the public's fascination with his downfall shows no signs of waning.
It sounded crazy, like I said before. They said that 2,300 people reached out to the law firm, and out of the 2,300 people, I guess they decided to go with just a little over 100. Which seems like it's they just put out the number and everybody's calling to see if they can get a check.
It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. Now, again, he did say that nothing has been filed yet because he says he wants to make sure that they do their due diligence and get this right.
As the story continues to unfold, one thing is certain: the drama surrounding Diddy isn't going away anytime soon. Whether it's the rumors about his health, the allegations of mistreatment, or the broader implications of his legal troubles, every new detail adds another layer to an already complex narrative. And while Diddy's team insists that he's focused, healthy, and preparing for his defense, the stark contrast between those claims and his gaunt, gray appearance in court leaves plenty of room for doubt. Whatever the truth may be, it's clear that the man once known as a titan of the music industry is now fighting battles on multiple fronts. Battles that have left him looking like a shadow of his former self.
Diddy would be throwing all his celebrity mates under the bus.
I mean, that could potentially be coming when it's time for court and when it's time for him to testify. But what we're seeing right now is how important public relations really are to Sean Combs. He's desperately trying to control the narrative behind bars, allowing his attorneys to do documentary.
But the most pressing question remains: is this decline purely the result of stress and poor living conditions, or is there something much darker lurking beneath the surface? And if the rumors about illness and mistreatment are true, what does that say about the system that's currently holding him? As the public watches this story unfold, the answers to these questions may reveal not just the truth about Diddy's situation, but also a deeper commentary on the price of power, fame, and the justice system's treatment of high-profile figures. The dramatic fall of Sean Diddy Combs has captivated the public in ways no one could have imagined. From the heights of fame to the depths of infamy, the former music mogul is now a shadow of his former self, not just physically, but in terms of public perception. The man who once commanded respect, admiration, and fear in equal measure now finds himself abandoned, isolated, and scrutinized like never before. To many, this isn't just a downfall, it's a reckoning. And while Diddy's legal battles rage on, the world's left wondering, was this inevitable?
In her civil lawsuit, Cassie said that she was the victim of abuse, assault, and at the hands of Diddy.
There's something both tragic and fascinating about watching a figure like Diddy crumble under the weight of his own empire. For years, he was untouchable. He built careers, controlled narratives, and cultivated an image of invincibility. But now, that image has shattered, and what's left behind is a man facing a tidal wave of accusations, betrayals, and consequences. For the people who once called him a friend, it seems loyalty has its limits. In the wake of his arrest and incarceration, many of Diddy's closest allies have made themselves scarce, leaving him to face his troubles alone. And let's be honest, this kind of abandonment speaks volumes.
We are not done. This investigation is ongoing, and I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do it quickly.
Take his inner circle, for example. Over the years, Diddy surrounded himself with a tight-knit group of collaborators, friends, and protégés. But where are they now? The silence from his former associates has been deafening. Even those who owe their rise to his influence have kept their distance, unwilling to be associated with the scandals swirling around him. This isn't just a coincidence, it's self-preservation. No one wants to be dragged down with him, especially when the allegations against him are as explosive as they are. And for someone like Diddy, who thrived on loyalty and control, this kind of desertion must cut deep. For some of Diddy's former allies, the decision to distance themselves isn't just about optics, it's about survival. Rumors have surfaced about private conversations between industry executives where they've expressed fear that being linked to Diddy could bring unwanted scrutiny to their own dealings. After all, the entertainment world has long been criticized for its murky power dynamics, and Diddy's case threatens to pull back the curtain on practices everyone would rather keep hidden. One source claimed that a producer who once worked with Diddy canceled a planned collaboration just days after the arrest, allegedly saying, "I can't be the next name dragged into this mess." It's a sharp turn from the days when aligning with Diddy meant instant credibility.
Yeah, but so there's still, it's crazy too because there's still more happening in court. Everything is still active even though we're not hearing about it as much anymore. And the people may be fatigued like we talked about prior to.
But it's not only the industry insiders who are cutting ties. Fans who once idolized him are now questioning their loyalty. Social media has become a battlefield, with some defending Diddy, while others tear apart his legacy. Many have pointed out how quickly his lavish lifestyle and bold personality have turned into ammunition for critics who now frame his extravagant behavior as arrogance and entitlement. One viral post even compared footage of Diddy partying in Central Park last year to his gaunt court appearance, contrasting the images as a metaphor for pride before the fall. The public's fascination with his downfall isn't just about justice. It's about witnessing the implosion of someone who seemed untouchable.
Yeah, but so there's still, it's crazy too because there's still more happening in court. Everything is still active even though we're not hearing about it as much anymore. And the people may be fatigued like we talked about prior to.
And yet, there's another layer to this story that makes it even more compelling. The lingering whispers of more secrets waiting to surface. Insiders have hinted that Diddy's current legal troubles may only be the tip of the iceberg. Allegations of undisclosed incidents, financial mismanagement, and even deeper scandals are reportedly being investigated behind the scenes. One source suggested that federal authorities are sifting through years of business records, looking for patterns of behavior that could be used to build additional charges. If this is true, it means that Diddy's battle is far from over, and the worst may still be yet to come.
A U.S. judge has ruled that the rapper and producer Sean Diddy Combs will stand trial on federal trafficking and racketeering charges in May. He'll be held in prison until then. Sean Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges that he used his business empire to transport women and male sex workers across state lines to take part in recorded performances. If convicted, he could face a life sentence. David Willis reports.
But it's not just his friends who are turning their backs on him. The entertainment industry as a whole seems eager to wash its hands of Diddy. His name, once synonymous with success and innovation, has become a liability. Brands and partners that once clamored to work with him are now quietly severing ties, hoping to avoid the fallout from his legal troubles. Even Revolt, the media company he co-founded, announced that he was stepping down as chairman, a move that insiders say was less about ethics and more about damage control. The message is clear. Diddy is no longer the kingmaker he once was. He's a cautionary tale, a reminder of how quickly power can slip away. For his alleged victims, however, this moment is long overdue. To them, Diddy's downfall isn't just karma, it's justice. Over the years, many have accused him of using his power to manipulate, intimidate, and silence those who dared to stand up to him. These accusations paint a picture of a man who wielded his influence like a weapon, creating an environment where fear and loyalty were two sides of the same coin. Now, as the allegations pile up and the truth begins to emerge, his victims are finally being heard. And for them, watching him face the consequences of his actions feels like the beginning of accountability.
And I understand that he has a shrink coming by his cell to see him several times a day. And now there's talk about putting him in, it's like a bubble. It's like a cell that has like a plexiglass wall in it where they have inmates watching you. That's actually their job, to keep an eye on the inmates that are on watch.
But let's not forget that Diddy's collapse isn't just about him. It's also a reflection of the culture that enabled him for so long. For years, whispers about his behavior circulated in the industry, but few dared to speak out. Why? Because Diddy wasn't just a man, he was an institution. He represented power, wealth, and access, and going against him often meant risking everything. In many ways, his rise and fall are a microcosm of the entertainment industry's darker side, a world where loyalty is often rewarded over integrity, and where silence can be bought at a high price. And yet, even as Diddy's world crumbles, there are those who still defend him. Some argue that the allegations against him are exaggerated, part of a larger conspiracy to bring him down. Others point to his contributions to music and culture, insisting that his legacy shouldn't be overshadowed by his mistakes. But this kind of defense raises an uncomfortable question. How much wrong are we willing to overlook in the name of greatness? Can someone's accomplishments ever truly outweigh their actions? For many, the answer is no. Diddy's legacy, once untouchable, is now forever tarnished.
Now, to the latest on the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs. This one has so many people talking. The disgraced music mogul facing federal racketeering, conspiracy, and trafficking charges. Both the prosecution and defense teams are set to discuss the next phase of action following the indictment as investigators work to determine potential co-conspirators. But how exactly did we get here?
Still, the question remains, what happens next? Diddy's legal battles are far from over, and the road ahead looks bleak. With his trial set for May 2025, he faces the very real possibility of spending decades behind bars. And even if he manages to avoid the harshest penalties, the damage to his reputation is already done. The man who once ruled the music industry now finds himself fighting to survive, not just in court, but in the court of public opinion. But let's not underestimate Diddy. For all his flaws, he's a master strategist, someone who's built his entire career on reinvention. If anyone could find a way to turn this situation around, it's him. The question is, does he have anything left to salvage? The allegations against him are so serious and the evidence so damning that even the best PR team in the world might struggle to rehabilitate his image. At this point, a comeback seems unlikely, but then again, we've seen stranger things in Hollywood.
I think it's to be expected, just the shock of this and the questions about what is ahead of us. I mean, how long is he going to be in custody? Is this an R. Kelly situation? Is he going to not get out for a number of years? Is he going to end up serving a long-term prison sentence from this? Or does he have a chance of beating these charges at a trial that could come?
For now, Diddy's reality is a far cry from the life he once lived. Gone are the private jets, the lavish parties, and the adoration of millions. In their place are cold prison walls, legal documents, and a growing list of people eager to see him held accountable. And while he may still have a few loyal supporters, the majority of the public seems content to watch him fall. After all, there's something undeniably compelling about watching a giant brought to their knees. But this story isn't just about Diddy. It's about the culture that created him, the system that enabled him, and the people who stood by while he allegedly hurt others. It's a reminder that power, no matter how absolute, is never permanent. And as Diddy faces the consequences of his actions, the world is left to grapple with the lessons of his rise and fall.
Includes co-defendants, but there's also strategic reasons for the prosecutors to want him to have co-defendants, because right now he hasn't waived his right to a speedy trial, which would force prosecutors to take him to trial pretty quick, which they actually might not be ready to do. But if they supersede him and have co-defendants with him, it makes it a lot easier to pursue a trial continuance without him waiving his speedy trial right.
So, what do you think? Is this the end of Diddy's reign, or does he still have a chance at redemption? Are his current struggles a result of his own actions, or is he the victim of a larger conspiracy? And perhaps most importantly, what does his downfall say about the world we live in? A world where power and privilege often go unchecked. Let us know your thoughts. And as always, stay tuned for more updates on this unfolding drama.